recruiters, Jennifer Tardy here, and you are watching Diversity Recruiter Central, where I teach you everything that you need to know about diversity recruiting, everything except for those ridiculous Boolean string search codes. I'm not going to teach you that here. In today's video, I am going to share with you 3 ways that you can handle obviously biased hiring manager feedback. And I'm also going to share with you my favorite segment, which is the Diversity Recruiter 911 segment, where I am answering your real life diversity recruiter questions. So keep submitting those questions. Stick around, listen to the question of the day today, and I am so ready to get started. Are you? Let's go. Unconscious biases and conscious biases exist. It is what it is, and it is a reality. But what happens when you present your candidate who happens to be a purple squirrel, and not only does your hiring manager reject this candidate, but they also give you highly generic, highly passive candidate feedback? What do you do then? But wait, before we get into it, did you see last week's video? If you did not see last week's video, this is like a marathon. I want you to keep up with these videos. So last week's video was all about how to avoid unfair hiring practices. You'll want to check that one out. But finish watching this video first. Must do step number 1. Step number 1 is to ask for feedback. Yes, I know that sounds elementary to say, but you would be shocked and appalled by how few recruiters ask hiring managers for feedback. So a hiring manager will say, no, I don't want this candidate. The recruiter will say, okay, and they'll keep looking for another candidate. What in the world? How will you ever be able to course correct and find the right candidate if you're not courageous enough to, at minimum, ask for feedback? And there are 2 reasons why this is important. One is that asking for feedback will allow you to have more insightful information to provide the candidate. I do believe in providing candidate feedback, particularly if you are focused in diversity recruitment, so that they are able to course correct to get a great job, whether it's within your company or not within your company. The second reason why asking for feedback is really important for you as the recruiter is because it gives you insight on where this candidate may have gone wrong, so that you can find a candidate that fills that gap next time for the hiring manager. Must do step number 2. Now that you've asked for feedback, the next thing that you must do is ask for clarity in feedback. Dive a little deeper. Do you even understand the feedback that the hiring manager gave you? I mean, sometimes hiring managers will talk in code. Sometimes they'll give highly generic feedback. Sometimes they'll give very passive feedback. And sometimes they'll just say, well, I just didn't like the candidate. But it is still your responsibility to dive a little more deeply. For example, what if a hiring manager says, well, I'm glad you asked for feedback. They just weren't a good fit. You can gain more clarity by going 1 question deeper. Do you want to go 1 question deeper? Here's a good question. Ask that hiring manager, okay, so if they're not a good fit, what qualifications weren't met? So now you're focused on objective qualifications and you're trying to gain insight, and you're saying, okay, so if they're not a good fit, then what qualifications weren't met? Now, when we move on to must do step number 3, we have an opportunity to go 2 questions deeper. Are you ready? Must do step number 3, review the qualifications again. So when you ask the hiring manager in this ongoing example, which qualification did this person not meet that led you to the conclusion that they weren't a good fit? And they tell you that it is actually one of the qualifications that's listed on there. But it happens to be a subjective qualification. And do not get me on my soapbox about subjective qualifications, like a person's ability to do something. Do they have a demonstrated ability to do something? It's so subjective. Anyway, so let's say that the qualification that they selected was the ability to work as a team player. And the hiring manager says, this person wouldn't be a good fit because they did not meet that qualification, the ability to be a team player. I just don't really think that they would get along with people on the team. Now, if you want to go 2 questions deeper, then you can ask this question. What behaviors were demonstrated or questions answered during the interview that led you to believe that this person would not be a good team player? So now you're 2 questions deeper with this hiring manager. And now you're getting them to think about what it means to not be a good fit and what it means to not be a team player. And what if their response is, I just don't think that they're going to get along with others on the team? Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. It's really important for this hiring manager to have someone that demonstrates their ability to get along with other people on the team. Okay, so this is really important, but they still haven't been able to answer the question on what did they say in an answer, or what did they demonstrate that made them feel that they wouldn't get along. And so odds are they're looking at this from a personality standpoint, that this candidate who was interviewing for this position won't have a personality that other people will like on the team, right? So maybe you can go into 3 questions deep. Are you ready to go 3 questions deep with your hiring manager? Some people don't have the courage to do this, but in the next must do, I'm going to go 3 questions deep. So let's do it. But before we do this, I have a question for you. Let's get a dialogue started in our comment section. What intimidates you as a recruiter most about the process of getting or soliciting feedback from your hiring managers? Tell me in the comment section below. I'm curious as to your answer. Must do step number 4. Educate your hiring manager on the difference between qualified hiring and homogeneous hiring. Now, if you look into the details section below, I have a worksheet that I think will be very helpful for you. And it's signs when a person is being hired based on qualifications versus signs when a person is being hired or rejected based on things that are not qualifications or based on sameness or differences. And that's where we get locked in with hiring managers sometimes, that sometimes in our own blind spots, we don't see what we're doing. So with this must do step number 4, when it comes to educating your hiring manager on the differences in qualified hiring or rejecting, or homogeneous hiring or rejecting. This is a whole nother topic that we'll talk about, homogeneous hiring versus qualified hiring, in a whole video in and of itself, because there's so much to this. So for the sake of this example, ask your hiring manager this question. This is 3 questions deep. Do you believe that this candidate, if they knew that it was a part of their job responsibility to be an effective team player, do you believe that they would not rise to the occasion to be an effective team player? Or are you saying that they wouldn't be a good team player because they have a different type of personality that's not the same as successful personalities on your team? Now, recruiters, that question is 3 questions deep. And that is how you solicit this feedback from hiring managers. And you can even take this document that I have in the details section below, and you can share this with them. Now, this can be a very uncomfortable conversation to have, but it is your responsibility to initiate these conversations as an educational opportunity, because when you find these great candidates, especially purple squirrels, you do not want to let a good candidate go simply because of some misunderstanding. We must be careful not to disqualify people because they're not the same as other people who are successful on the team. Sameness negates diversity. Diversity, or the lack of diversity, negates the ability to be successful in an organization. It's bottom line. So I hope that you liked what you've learned so far about hiring manager feedback, because this is crucial to your ability to be successful on the team. Now, we're moving on to my favorite segment. And my favorite segment is Diversity Recruiter 911, where we have an opportunity to answer your questions. So the question for today is, my hiring manager is intimidating. How on earth do I ask this type of question of them? And so someone has asked me this question before, so I wanted to put this question in here for this channel. The best way to broach these topics, these learning experiences, these questions with hiring managers is to do it with two things in mind. Number one, do it with facts. Right? And so the more facts you're able to share with hiring managers, or objectiveness you're able to have with hiring managers, the easier the conversation will flow. And so when I talk about objectiveness, use the job description, use the qualifications in the job description and stick closely with them. And make it a non-judgmental environment. There's no right or wrong to this. We're really just trying to make sure that your feedback connects to the qualifications in the job description. So that's number one. Number two, approach it with inquisitiveness. Be very curious and inquire on things. Do not approach it in a highly questioning way, because no one likes to feel questioned, but you just really want to know. You really want to get a deeper understanding of how that hiring manager is thinking so that you can make great decisions next time. That's all it is. You're showing the hiring manager how you're on their side, on their team, to be more effective. And so the more you're able to probe into this, and the more that they're able to offer you insight on their thinking, the better you're going to be the next time. And the better experience this is going to be for the candidate, who is obviously going to also seek feedback on why they didn't get the role either. Make sense? I hope that helped. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Understand that getting feedback from hiring managers is a critical step in you being a highly, highly successful recruiter. Now, if you didn't check out my other video about 7 habits of highly effective recruiters, now is your time to check out that video. So don't miss out on that. Don't forget, if you haven't downloaded our free guide, the 10 innovative ways to increase workplace diversity without doing those ridiculous Boolean string searches, be sure to look in the details section and download that immediately. In next week's video, I am going to share with you why it is important to stop using the phrase "not a cultural fit" in your feedback to candidates. Stop using it immediately. So I'm going to share with you why it's important and other phrases that you can use to answer the same question. So come back, check out next week's video. Again, I'm Jennifer Tardy. I'm your diversity recruiting leader. And come back again. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Hey recruiters, if you like this video, we have others coming your way each Thursday. So subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified as new videos get posted. Don't forget, leave us your recruiter questions for a chance to be spotlighted in an upcoming video. Don't forget about our other channel for job seekers. And as always, in order for our workplaces to be underrepresented no more, we all have to listen, engage, apply, repeat, now, learn. I'll talk to you next time.